So again, my name's Doug. Last time I was here, we talked mostly about nutrition. So today we're going to switch gears and talk mostly about exercise and touch on nutrition only just a little bit. So kind of like I just heard over here, this is called getting back in shape, so that kind of assumes you were in shape at some point, but the concepts are still going to cross over whether you've ever been in shape before or whether you're getting back in shape after years or even decades. So first, a little bit about me. Athlete my whole life, high school, wrestling, baseball, college, played football, and now that I've gone through graduate school and I'm out of graduate school, I'm still competing. Right now I currently compete in mixed martial arts, kind of like the UFC, for those of you that watch the UFC. Education-wise, I was very privileged growing up as far as learning about fitness and nutrition. We definitely weren't rich, but I rather, had a good friend of mine who I met when he was right around 25 years old that just happened to love teaching about exercise and about nutrition and never charged me a dime. I'd go over to his place. He had a gym in his garage, and he would teach me everything that he knew. When we got done, he was very nice, and he had plenty of money. He would cook me dinner, and he would teach me about why he was cooking things the way he did and about all the different nutritional properties of each food and how it all came together and why it mattered for me as an athlete. And I was very lucky. I got all this, basically for free without really doing anything to return the favor until I was, much, much older. So very fortunate growing up that I had that available to me. He was just more than willing to coach anyone that was willing to learn, so very lucky. He encouraged me to go to undergraduate and graduate school to get my bachelor's in exercise science and then eventually my master's degree in kinesiology, which is human movement science. And then I got kind of a minor or a focus in sports nutrition. So all kinds of certifications and letters after my last name, and then now I own a couple gyms here in town. I own Faction Strength and Conditioning, which is the gym that Dean trains at, which is in Cordova. I also own CrossFit Collierville, and then more recently we've taken up an e-commerce company called Fitter.tv, where we run a podcast called the Barbell Shrug Podcast. So this is Faction Strength and Conditioning. FactionSC.com is our website. For the most part, we're all group classes. Up here in the corner, you can see a group kind of just getting ready to warm up for the workout. And then this group down here on the left is kind of right in the middle of a workout. They're all doing some type of pull-up or knees to elbows on the bar. Occasionally we go to the park and we'll have a big group of people that do a workout all together. Usually if we're at Shelby Farms or something, it's more of like a partner workout or maybe a group workout. Even though it's a group workout up there on the left and right there, it's still, you're doing things individually, but occasionally we'll do like a team workout, which is a little different, excuse me. And then finally, we also have a competition team for the sport of CrossFit, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. We got various coaches. Me, Mike, and Rob are the owners, and then David, Ashley, Amanda, and Chris right here are some of the coaches for the regular classes. So we've got a great group of people to work with, and it's a really kind of a fun environment to be around all day long. Very, very low stress, and all my friends train there, so it's pretty fun just to go to work and hang out with your friends all day. I'm the person that goes to work to de-stress. Like if I'm at home working, I'm like, I got to go to work to relax. So very fortunate there. So what do we do? For the most part, we take people that are a little overweight and we make them into athletes. Della's a great example. Della, before CrossFit and eating paleo, was a little overweight, and then she came in and she was doing her conditioning workouts with the box jumps. She started lifting weights. She started doing competitive runs, and real world progress. She lost a lot of body fat, and she leaned up quite a bit. Some of the testimonies you see on TV are, they go from super overweight to just ripped, shredded, lean six-pack, and that's great for infomercials, but that's not real world change. Most real world changes are more realistic, kind of like Della's, where you go from overweight to a normal looking person and not some shredded model like in 6 weeks, right? So Della made some great changes, very proud of her. Lisa wasn't necessarily a fat loss client. She was just a person that never really worked out. She was a musician. She's a photographer here in town. If anyone just had a baby, she owns LMAX Studio and does a great job taking photos there in Midtown. And she wanted just to be stronger and more athletic. And so after a couple of years, she actually competes in weightlifting now, which you don't think about, petite women competing in weightlifting, but anyone can compete in weightlifting. They're just lifting slightly different weights, all right? We also take guys from couch potato, to athletic guys. Mike McGoldrick is a great example. He was kind of chubbier kid in college, did a lot of drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, and a couple of years later, he's really come around. He's actually kind of on the national scale for CrossFit now, and he's got great endurance, and he's very, very strong. So he's made a complete 180. The first competitive CrossFit workout he ever did, it took him 12 minutes to complete it. And again, I'll talk about these workouts here in a little bit. And he's taken that same workout and he's whittled it down over time down to about 2 minutes now. So he took something that took him 12 minutes, and now we can do it in 2 minutes. And that's how we measure our progress, is by improving our performance in a measurable way. And so he's gotten in much, much better shape. And that one kind of key workout for him is how he shows his friends and family about how much better shape he's actually gotten in. Vaughn's another great example. October 2009, a little bit overweight. He's a little chubby up there in the top right picture, if you can see him. And then 6, 7, 8 months later, he leaned up quite a bit, and now he actually serves as one of our endurance coaches. He came to the gym wanting to be able to run in races. He ran his first 5K, and felt terrible afterward and barely made his way through it. And now he competes in 50Ks and 50 milers, and he coaches other endurance athletes. That's a couple years of really hard work, but it can be done if you put in the time. So like I said, we also run a podcast called the Barbell Shrug Podcast, which CTP right here with the camera does all of our recording and editing and does a great job. So if you're interested in just learning more about the CrossFit fitness world, you can just listen to it off iTunes for free on your phone when you're driving around. So it's a great resource that we've put out there over the last year. Okay, so that's a little bit about us and kind of who we are in town. The goal for today is just to show you what to do to get back in shape, and what to do without spending too much time doing it. Most people don't have hours to dedicate to be a world-class athlete. They just want to lean up and look better and gain some strength, and they don't want it to take all day long. They want to take 30, maybe 60 minutes per day at the absolute most, not as a minimum, as an absolute most. So first, kind of an obvious question, why get back in shape? Everyone has their own answer, and you kind of think about it, you think, well, why wouldn't I want to be in shape? Obviously I want to be in shape. Everyone has their own separate reason though. Probably the easiest reason is to be more attractive. Everybody wants a little more muscle and a little less fat. If you go a little deeper than that, why do you want to be attractive? If you're young and you're single, you might have this deep-seated fear that you're going to be alone forever and no one's ever going to want to marry you. Or conversely, if you're in your 40s and 50s and you've gotten overweight over the years, maybe you have this deep-seated fear that if you stay overweight, then your partner's not going to be attracted to you anymore. Maybe you haven't had sex in 2 months and you're afraid you're going to get divorced. That's kind of the reality of the situation with being more attractive, and we talk about that with people because those are real fears that people have. More energy, and more energy could be on a couple different levels too. Maybe you just want to be able to have the weekend show up and not just want to sleep in because you're exhausted all the time. Or maybe you just want to be able to play with your kids. Maybe you want to be able to join a co-ed softball league and do well and have fun on the weekends and go for hikes and not simply just want to sit on the couch and veg out and watch TV because you're exhausted from the week of work that you had just put in. Better performance, maybe again you're wanting to join a co-ed softball league or you just want to play basketball with your buddies on the weekend. Or maybe you just had a baby and you're thinking, man, I'm overweight. I want to see my kid's 10th birthday and I don't think I'm going to make it right now. We've had people come in and say that to us. So less disease from being overweight, losing that body fat goes a long way to keeping you healthy for the long term. All right, so in shape is kind of an ambiguous term. Again, it means different things to different people, and everyone has their own idea of what in shape means to them. You probably have your own definition of how you want to be in shape, and it probably isn't the same as the person sitting right next to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we define being in shape. Okay? Is it just being super skinny? Some people just want to be thin, and they think that's what in shape means. Yeah, and most people don't want to look like that. That's a little extreme, right? Well, that's what a lot of people view as being in shape. So yeah, a little bit for shock value and just to wake up the crowd a little bit, but a lot of people do view it like that. If you see someone that's thin, you think they're in shape. Whether they're actually truly in shape and athletic and healthy is a totally different conversation. Is it just about having enormous muscles? Right? And And most people believe that. Most people think it's way too much, and that's not what most people want. And it scares people away from doing basic weight training, which is never going to make you look like that. But emotionally, it's hard to get over if you see pictures like this all the time. The guy on the left, actually, I saw over the weekend when I was in Ohio. He's one of the best bodybuilders in the world for about 6 or 7 years.
Now, look, most of the time he doesn't look like that. Because
no, most of the time.
He comes up for competition, right?
That's exactly right.
For the woman, so yeah, it's all right.
Right, most of the time they don't look like that. They look like that for a couple days, and that's about it.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, they're not quite that lean, but they're still very big.
Yeah.
Does being in shape for you mean that you can just run forever? A lot of people think that if you can run a marathon, then you're automatically in shape. Which doesn't mean you're out of shape if you can run a marathon. That's a fantastic goal to set for yourself and a phenomenal thing to be able to do. But it's, again, only one aspect of fitness. What about just having a huge bench press? America loves the bench press. And that's a lot of times, especially for guys, especially if you're high school or college, all you do when you go to the gym. You go to the gym, you bench press, you do curls, you do sit-ups, and you go home. Right? Beach muscles only, all in the front of your body, nothing on the back of your body, nothing for your legs. All right? And so again, it's kind of an imbalanced way to look at total body overall fitness. You know, that guy's probably benching 220, 250, 260, 260 kilos, which is around 570-ish, 570 pounds. She's doing 120, 140, 160, 165, 165 kilos, which is around in the 350 range. Okay. 350 pounds for a woman, and again, that's a phenomenal feat of strength, and you have to train very hard to get in a situation like that. But again, it's not what most people want. Most people don't just want to be able to bench press a lot of weight. What does that do for you? Basically nothing. What about just being super flexible?
Oh my God.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So being flexible, again, one great aspect of fitness, but maximizing your flexibility isn't necessarily the key to being fit, right? Everyone kind of agrees that being more flexible will probably help you reduce injuries and whatnot, and it'll help you be good at some sports. If you're a dancer or a gymnast or someone that needs that much flexibility, then it's beneficial. But for most of us, it's not really what we need. And just stretching 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening to be more flexible may or may not help you do anything. What about just being good at sports? You know, if you're kind of playing a basketball game on the weekends, or you joined a co-ed soccer league, does that mean you're in shape? I mean, debatably yes, debatably no. It depends again on how you're defining it for yourself. So, in my opinion, being in shape means that you can do all of these things to some extent. Okay? You're not just building muscle mass and trying to get enormous. You're not just trying to be thin. You're not just trying to be good at a sport. You're not just trying to be flexible. You're not just trying to be strong. Being in shape means that you have a little bit of each one of these, but you're not maxed out extreme on any one single thing. You're pretty strong. You're pretty flexible. You're lean. You look good. You're healthy. You eat good 80-90% of the time, which we'll talk about here briefly. You're a little bit of everything. And people didn't used to think that was really even possible. They thought you had to specialize in one thing. You can't be a good endurance athlete and be strong. You can't be a good power lifter and be able to run a 5K. You had to be one or the other. And in the last 10 or so years, the fitness industry has kind of been flipped on its head. And people are starting to do all of these different sports all together. They're running 5Ks, and they're competing in weightlifting, and they're taking up a soccer game on the weekends, and they're being more well-rounded. And again, people didn't used to think that was possible, but that's really what most people want. Most people want to be well-rounded. They don't want to be a one-trick pony. They want to be able to do everything. They want to be like the superheroes of fitness. They want to be everything all the time. And so that's a hard goal to accomplish, but what has happened is the world of CrossFit came around, and that's the type of working out that Dean does here every morning in the type of gym that we run, where we do a little bit of everything. We run hard, we lift heavy, we train explosively, we do speed training, we do gymnastics skills, we jump rope, we throw things, and we build overall athleticism. Okay? So what these guys are doing right now is he's in a competition. You can see all the people in the background. She's in competition too. You can't see people in the background though. What their competitions look like is they show up and they have no idea what they're going to do. They just bet that they're better at it than everyone else. So you show up to a competition and you go, I don't know what's going to happen. And they say, okay, you guys are going to do a 1-mile ocean swim, ready to go. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes they're like, all right, everyone meet over here. All right, 1-mile ocean swim, that way to the buoy and back, ready to go. And they just walk away. And everyone goes, oh, okay. And they just start running. And they run to the beach and they just swim with whatever they have on. So it's kind of crazy competitions. And then they come out and they rest like an hour. And then they go, all right, meet up again. 100 pull-ups for time, ready to go. And they'll do it in 3 minutes. And then they'll come back and they'll say, okay, max weight you can get over your head. And they'll pick up 300 pounds and just put it over their head. And whoever gets the heaviest weight wins, right? And so there's a lot of variety. And if you had to train for a competition like that, you'd have to be in shape in every aspect. You'd have to be flexible. You'd have to be strong, okay? And what happened is this concept of doing this sport called CrossFit has turned into a huge fitness movement where even if you're not trying to be one of these world-class athletes like her name's Camille and his name's Rich. He actually lives in Cookeville, Tennessee, the fittest man on the planet. Good friend of ours, actually. And even if you're not trying to be the fittest man on the planet, it's still a phenomenal way to train if you're just wanting to train for fitness and just to be in better shape. So it's not just for young guys like Rich and Camille. These ladies I wouldn't consider them old, but they're probably not in their teens or in college anymore. These guys are certainly much older. We got some gray beards going on there. And these guys are CrossFit competitors to be sure, but you can see just being older doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be out of shape. If you compete or you train in the manner that I'm going to describe, then having more muscle, losing fat, being more mobile, having better endurance is all attainable regardless of age. So what do these workouts look like? In the CrossFit world, they say they do constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. Okay, constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. That's how they structure all of their workouts. So here's what that means. Constantly varied means that it's different every single day. Okay, who's ever done P90X? Has anyone ever done P90X? Or seen the P90X commercials? They talk about muscle confusion.
About 2 days. For about 45 minutes.
What's that?
For about 2 days, yeah.
Didn't you do it?
Oh, you did it for 2 days?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's my knee up.
Okay. So who's ever heard that term from the P90X commercials, muscle confusion? All right, they're basically saying that you're giving your muscles a new stimulus and then they adapt, you grow, and you improve because you're not used to that type of working out, right? So that concept is what CrossFit calls constantly varied. So you're doing new movements frequently. So I'm not just running in this pattern. I also squat, I also lunge, I also do a variety of other things too. Bending, lunging, running, rowing. I do lots of different types of movements and then I adapt and grow and get better because of that variety. The variety spurs progress. The variety also makes it where it's not as common to get overuse injuries. Okay, who's ever heard of runner's knee, right? You run all the time, pound, 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 pound. It's all getting absorbed at the same joint every day, same workout over and over and over again. If I want to get better, I just do more of it, right? And then you get overuse injuries. If you're doing something different every single day, you're much less likely to get those types of overuse injuries. I know for me, as an athlete, the thing that's changed as I've gotten older, I haven't gotten overweight, I haven't gotten less strong, I haven't gotten less mobile, but my joints get achy easier. Okay? That's been the change for me. Okay? 10 years ago, I could do anything I wanted, no achy joints. Now, I have to moderate my training because I'll get achy sooner. Okay? And I've learned how to adapt to just, to that, my growing training age, I'll call it. But doing the constantly varied type movements makes it where I'm distributing the stress across all my joints. I'm not just putting my knees under stress every day, and that's the only joint that's taking the load every single workout. Kind of covered all that. All right, so constantly varied, functional movements. Functional movements are movements that you do in the real world. If I sit on an exercise machine and I go like this, okay, through a fixed plane of motion, that's not going to make me a better athlete at anything. Okay? What I want to do is I want to lift myself, lift objects, run and throw. Okay? So we do gymnastics, weightlifting, and track and field. And we structure all of our workouts around those type of sports. And within that, These can be intimidating. Gymnastics, who's a gymnast in here? Probably nobody anymore. Maybe you used to be, right? But gymnastics and weightlifting, those are all scalable, modifiable workout plans where gymnastics can be anything from an iron cross, which is dang near impossible for us, to simply doing a push-up on your knees, right? It's doing a body weight movement. So push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups I would put in the gymnastics category, and then there's all kinds of levels there within. And then weightlifting, again, if I'm lifting an object where there's a PVC pipe and I'm putting it overhead and it weighs 2 pounds, or I'm trying to put hundreds of pounds over my head, it's still considered weightlifting at that point. The technique is all the same. Everyone's going to start at their own individual level of skill, level of fitness, and level of strength. Running and throwing things are skills in and of themselves. And if you are competent at these 3 different categories, then you're a very fit, very athletic, likely strong, muscular, and lean individual. Okay. And then finally, constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. Performed at high intensity means that you're always trying to go a little faster or do a little more than you did the time before. And the way that for the most part, I'm going to suggest that you guys structure your workouts, and this doubles as a time efficiency model, is that you're going to do rounds for time or as many reps as possible in a time limit. So here's 2 very similar workouts as examples. I could do 5 rounds of a 100-meter run, might take me 20 or 30 seconds, 8 body weight squats, 8 ring rows where you're on rings and you just kind of pull yourself up, and 8 push-ups. So I do those with as little rest as possible, 5 rounds, and then I hit the clock and I call my time. So I go 3, 2, 1, go. I hit the clock, so it's counting up. I'm timing myself. I run my run. I do 8, 8, 8. That's 1 round. I do 5 rounds, and then I hit time again. Maybe it takes me 8 minutes, 24 seconds. Then, 6 months later, I can come back and I can do that same workout again, and I can see if I beat my time. And if I beat my time, then I got in better shape. The same way that if you run a mile and it takes you 7 minutes, and then you run a mile again, you get 6.5 minutes, you probably got in better shape. The other way that we do our workouts at our facility is we do AMRAPs, which means I have 12 minutes to do as many rounds as I possibly can. So in 12 minutes one day, I might get 5 rounds plus the run plus 4 reps of the squats. Next time I do it, in the 12-minute block, 6 months down the line, maybe I get 8 rounds plus the run plus 8 plus 4. Okay? I can see that I'm doing more in the same amount of time. If I can do more stuff in the same amount of time, then I got more fit. Okay? We measure everything off of performance. Okay? So it's more than just your mile time and your bench press max. There could be any number of millions of workouts that you can put together that you can measure your progress against, and we have quite a few of them. So the key to this is that performance is always measured to ensure progress. Okay? I mean, you guys probably know that better than anyone. Like, numbers or money is very quantifiable, and you guys probably measure almost everything you can, right? And if you're not measuring, then you're probably going to go out of business. You don't know how well you're doing. You have to measure things. Okay? Any other bank in America that doesn't measure, quarter 1 versus quarter 4 or whatever, probably is going to go out of business because they don't know if they're improving. They don't know what adjustments to make. You just don't know where you are. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do, is measure your progress always. And how we do that usually is by measuring how many rounds we do in a certain amount of time, or how long it takes us to do a certain amount of set work. Okay. Last time I was here, I talked about the hierarchy of fat loss. Does anyone kind of remember that? I talked about how your metabolism works, number 1. I said that your metabolism, the way that you burn calories, is categorized into 3 different categories. It's your resting metabolic rate, which is basically correlated to how much muscle mass you have. And that was the majority of the calories that you burn throughout the day, like 60 or 70%. I said that number 2, about 10% of the calories that you burn come from the amount of calories it takes to digest, process, and absorb the food that you eat. And then finally, number 3 was your physical activity. That accounts for 15 to 30% of the calories you burn throughout the day, is how much you're moving, how much you're exercising. And that's usually the variable that people try to manipulate the most. Okay? So, with regard to burning calories and altering your metabolism, there's also 3 types of exercise that you can do. Okay? There's exercise that burns calories only during exercise, Okay, if I work out for 30 minutes, I'm going to burn extra calories for about 30 minutes. And then when I'm done with that exercise, my metabolism, goes back to normal, and the rest of the day, I'm back to burning calories just like I would have otherwise. Typically, that's low intensity activity. If I go for a 30-minute elliptical run where I'm just kind of like this, at a low intensity, I sweat a little bit, and then I get off and I moved a little bit, I burned some calories, and that's not a bad thing, but I only burn calories during those 30 minutes, okay? What I'm going to suggest is that instead of doing low intensity exercises, you do higher intensity exercise. A minute ago we talked about timing yourself, so if I did it, in that example, if I did that same 30 minutes, but I looked at the readout and I tried to burn as many calories as possible in those 30 minutes, and then the next time I did it, I tried to beat my old score, and then the next time I did it, I tried to beat my old score, on and on and on, then I'm going to, at that intensity, since I'm going as hard as I possibly can, I'm not only going to burn calories during exercise, but at high intensity, I'm going to burn calories after exercise too. Okay? The higher the intensity and the more effort you put into your exercise and to your workout, the more likely you are to not only burn calories during exercise, but you're going to burn calories after exercise for hours or up to days, depending on how hard you went on that particular day. An easy way to think about that is if you got sore, well, your body has to deal with that damaged tissue. It has to kind of remove the damaged tissue, remove any metabolic waste or metabolites that were produced from that damaged tissue. It's got to lay down new protein and build new muscle, and all those processes take extra calories, and so you're burning more calories while you're a little bit sore. So being sore, even if you're losing weight, is a good thing. Okay? And then finally, there's exercise that burns calories during, right after, and then also long term. It does all three of them. Okay? And if you're burning extra calories long term, that basically assumes you put on some amount of muscle mass. Okay? I said that muscle mass is the thing that influences your resting metabolic rate the most. The calories you burn from just kind of being alive and living and just being here. Okay? So having a little bit of extra muscle, not like the big bodybuilders, but just a little bit of extra muscle increases your metabolism. Okay? So as people age, your metabolism goes down. Everybody knows that, right? Why does it go down? Because most people lose muscle mass as they age. They've done studies on countless senior citizens, and if they can get those people to gain muscle mass by lifting weights, their metabolism goes right back to where it was very quickly. Okay? So if you can maintain your muscle mass, then your metabolism will stay very high. That's part of the reason why strength training is so important for people as they age. Okay? The exercises that build muscle are also the exercises that cause you to keep muscle as you lose weight. Okay? So strength training, lifting weights, and what I'm going to call metabolic resistance training is what you want to focus on. Okay? So what I said a minute ago with the AMRAPs and the rounds, I was running, I was doing push-ups, I was doing rows, I was doing squats. That's metabolic resistance training. I'm doing a variety of movements that build muscle, that cause me to go all the way to fatigue, that cause me to get sore, and then I'm pushing myself as hard as possible, and that will cause you to burn calories during, right afterward, and when you build muscle mass, it'll cause you to burn more calories in the future as well. So those are the type of exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. Okay? And that's why we focus on that type of training almost exclusively. Because you can train for a very short period of time. You saw the AMRAP was only 12 minutes long, right? But you can get a lot out of those 12 minutes because it's not about the time you spend doing the workout. It's about the intensity you put into the workout and the long-term effect that has on your metabolism. Okay, so that's more about physiology rather than psychology. But the reality of that is that psychology for working out is probably the most important thing. Okay? If you're having fun and you're enjoying what you're doing, you're probably going to keep doing it. If you keep doing it, you're probably going to get a good fitness benefit. And it's really kind of that simple. So the reason that CrossFit is kind of taking over the world right now is because there's the CrossFit community. Some people even call it the CrossFit cult. Anyone ever heard that? The CrossFit cult? The reason they call it a CrossFit cult is because CrossFitters tend to be very close. It's small gyms. Everyone knows the name of every single other person there. And you develop friendships and you tend to hang out together. And we kind of have our own lingo a little bit. And so people that are outside the community kind of like, wow, you guys are like really close. And I'm not too sure about that. And then when they try it out, they kind of get sucked in too because it's really fun. But the community is very strong. So that's the thing that really makes CrossFit so effective. And that's the reason that it's gone from 100 CrossFit gyms 5 years ago to 500 the next year to 2,000 the next year to 4,000 the next year. Okay? It's really kind of taking over the world right now because CrossFitters, they get in, they get good results, but they make these deep friendships, and it keeps people coming back to the gym. We have plenty of people that come to our gym, even when they're not working out. They walk in, I go, you training today? And they go, no, it's my day off. And they're just hanging out. That's just what they do when they get off work. They come just to hang out, and they'll help coach their friends and stuff. It's a very tight-knit circle. So the variety eliminates boredom, and that drives consistency. If you come in consistently at almost any type of working out, you'll get results. Most people aren't out of shape because their workouts don't work. It's because they did it for a while and then they stopped, and then they did it for a while and then they stopped. If you do 5 days a week of almost anything where you're moving, I could do jumping jacks for an hour every single day, and that'd probably be better, not probably, be way better than doing nothing, but it'd probably be better than a whole lot of other programs that you're not doing. Does that make sense? So the community provides friendship, and then that friendship drives support. That social support is huge. When people don't show up to the gym, they get phone calls from their friends, or they get texts, like while they're supposed to be at the gym, that says, where were you? I thought you were going to be here today. Or you should come try this workout. We're all going to do it at the same time. We're all going to time ourselves, and I wanted to compete against you today, and you're not here. Okay? So the friendship drives support. A competition drives effort. That's been as a fitness professional, that's been a huge insight for me. Personal training is god-awful, dreadful, boring. Who's ever done personal training? Ever had a trainer? Yeah. If you have a very good relationship with a trainer, it can be fun. But if you don't, then it's horrible. If you're working out with a group of people that have similar goals and similar aspirations, and you're competing on the clock with them, you all start at the same time, you don't want to be last. Right? And if you are last, you don't want to be last again. The competition drives your effort. Okay? I don't have to yell or motivate anyone at our gym. I don't have to sit there and say, keep going, don't stop. No one's going to stop halfway through and just leave, because everyone else is still going. You don't want to be the guy that left. Everyone will be like, what's wrong? What happened? What'd you go away for? I was tired. And they'd be like, what do you mean you were tired? I was tired too. And the kind of society keeps them, or keeps you going, if everyone's working out at the same time. The final thing is that there's always a next level. Okay? If you can do a push-up on your knees, you can do a push-up off your knees. Then you can do push-ups on the rings, and then you can do handstand push-ups, and then you can do handstand push-ups on the rings. Okay? These are more advanced exercises. There's always a next level, and that learning drives engagement. Okay? I've heard before that the number one reason that people quit a job or quit something in their career is because they're not developing as a person. They're not learning. They're not getting better as a person. That makes them bored, and they want to go find something else to do. So simply getting on a treadmill or going for a jog just because you feel like you're supposed to, just to burn calories because you feel like you're supposed to, eventually that's a losing battle, because you're not learning and you're not developing yourself. You're not becoming a better athlete. Okay? There's got to be some amount of learning. You have to always know what that next level is, and you have to have a new skill to develop into. Okay? So people usually come to us with a physique goal only. They want to just lose some of this, or they want to get lean for summer or whatever, and then 6 months later they're not talking about that anymore. They're saying, I want to get my first pull-up, or I want to be better at double unders, where you have a jump rope that goes under you twice per jump, right? Or I want to be able to hold a handstand for 30 seconds. We have all these different goals to measure progress against, and it becomes something fun to do rather than just the place that you go to burn calories because you feel like you should, right? Because your doctor told you that you're going to have heart disease if you don't exercise. Okay? People care, but they really don't care about that stuff. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Doctors tell people they're going to die. They still don't take their medications every day. They still don't work out. It's not motivating. It's got to be fun. It's got to be social. And that's why CrossFit is doing so well right now, because it's very fun and it's very social. So, how to get started. If you want to start working out again, or even if you're already currently working out, here's how I'm going to suggest you structure your workouts to be well-rounded and to be fit. I would start with 3 days a week, or easier than that is just every other day. Okay? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every other day, maybe take the weekends off. Start with 3 days a week. Keep your sessions to a little less than an hour. What I suggest is do right around a 5-minute warm-up, 25 or so minutes for strength and core work, and then 20 minutes of what we call a Metcon. Okay, I said metabolic resistance training was the thing that did all three: calories during, calories right afterward, and then calories for the long term. In CrossFit, we call that a Metcon, which is short for metabolic conditioning. Okay, so strength and conditioning every day really is the key there. Okay, so strength training, I'll give you an example here in a second. Sorry, finally, the last thing there is to eat paleo, which is what we talked about last time, okay, which I'll touch on briefly at the end. A warm-up example, easy movements, 2-minute jog, do some arm circles, just do some leg swings holding on to something, sideways leg swings, right? Maybe just some basic hip circles, just easy stuff to loosen up, a few bodyweight squats, a few lunges, a few push-ups, and at that point you should be building up a little bit of a sweat, and you've moved at least all of your joints at least in one different motion or two, so you're starting to just get yourself ready to do something a little more strenuous. Strength training example, front squats is what this woman's name is Sue. She's in her mid-50s somewhere. She's got a barbell, she's holding it here, and she's squatting down and squatting up, and she's doing the heaviest weight that she can comfortably do with good technique for 5 sets of 5 repetitions. Okay? Also, pull-ups. You can also do 5 sets of 5 with pull-ups. If you can't do a regular pull-up, then we can have you do a band-assisted pull-up or a ring row, or you can have a person behind you just give you a little bit of a boost if you're kind of right there. Okay? And then if you're a person who's very strong, then you can strap weight around your waist and you can do weighted pull-ups. Everyone has their level that they're going to be at, and in any class that we have, there's people that do weighted pull-ups. Girls too, and there's people that do banded pull-ups where we stretch a big band across a couple of hooks. You step on this big rubber band, and it springs you up, and it helps you out, and it's easy to set up, and it makes it where you can do pull-ups just like everyone else is doing pull-ups. You're just getting a little bit of assistance. Okay? So that's called scaling, and everyone is going to be somewhere along that continuum. Okay? And then finally, something for your core work, like a side bridge. That's where you're laying on the ground on your elbow like that, and you're just kind of resisting that temptation to laterally flex your body. So good for the sides of your abs, called your obliques. So squat, pull-ups, and side bridges are an example of how we structure our strength training. Okay, and there's a million different examples just like that. The Metcon is what we talked about earlier. That's the conditioning part of your workout. So what I suggest is you're going to do rounds or an AMRAP. Okay, pick a total body movement, a press, a pull, and a movement for your legs. Okay, so a total body movement would be something like running, or something like rowing if you have a rower where you're on the ground. Who knows what I'm talking about with the rowers, where you're pulling and then sliding around, kind of like you're rowing a boat. Burpees. Anybody know what burpees are? Yeah? Dean, you want to show some burpees?
Yeah.
In your seat?
I want to see pictures
Oh,
of
yeah.
Dean. That's what I
Oh, yeah? Yeah, maybe next time I'll bring some more pictures of Dean. Burpees look like this. You touch your chest to the ground, you come up and clap. Okay, so it's more of a total body movement. Pressing, that could be push-ups, it could be a dumbbell press, it could be a handstand push-up where you're in a handstand, you're doing push-ups. The list goes on and on and on, and again, every one of those movements can be scaled, but some type of pushing something away from you, okay? Some type of pulling something towards you, whether I have dumbbells in my hand and I'm pulling up like this, or whether I'm leaning back and I'm pulling myself to a bar, or I'm doing pull-ups where I'm pulling myself up. I'm using my pulling muscles, I'm pulling something toward me. And then finally, something for your legs. Whether I'm doing squats or deadlifts or lunges, I'm doing something for my leg muscles that's not endurance-based, but is more strength-based. Okay? So that's kind of the template for it. Again, the example that we used already was we did a run, that was our total body. Air squats, again, just body weight squats, was our leg exercise. The ring rows, where I have gymnastics rings and I'm leaning back and I'm kind of just pulling myself up like that. And then finally push-ups, I'm pushing something away from me, pushing the floor away from me, right? Or pushing me away from the floor. So that's an easy way to structure AMRAPs or rounds, okay? And that's a good way to get a total body workout. Press, pull from upper body, legs, and then some type of cardio mixed in there, again, on the clock, always doing it as fast as possible. And that's very time efficient as well. All right, so this is the only slide I have on nutrition, since that's what we covered last time I was here in a little more depth. But for the most part, the paleo model is what we follow, and it's kind of like the caveman diet. You're eating natural foods, okay? You're eating meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, and no wheat, okay? Meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, and no wheat, okay? For the most part, you can sum that up if you want to make it really easy, and you can just say meat and vegetables. If you're eating mostly meat and vegetables, a quarter of your plate is meat, the majority of it is vegetables, then you have a pretty good diet. And that's for the most part. Anytime physique athletes, for example, want to lean up for competition and be as lean as possible, that's always what they eat. And their salary is riding on it. And so they're going to do the thing that works. If they don't place in the competition, they don't get paid. So that's what people do in the real world when they need to get lean as fast as possible. Okay? Meat, veggies, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, no wheat. These are kind of all the same thing. So actually, let's categorize this real quick. I've never done this before. Protein. Carbohydrates, but not a very dense source of carbohydrates with the vegetables. Okay? Fat, semi-dense carbs, dense carbs, dense carb, dense carbs. Everyone see that pattern there? Okay? Protein, not dense carbs. I'd say almost more fiber than carbs. Okay? Healthy fats, some carbs, super dense carbs. Okay? So basically, we're trying to get protein and healthy fats. We're trying to avoid dense sources of carbohydrates. Okay? Carbohydrates aren't bad for you, but they're just way too easy to come by. When you eat carbohydrates, you release insulin. Insulin's job is to take calories and store them away for later, right? And it makes people gain body fat. Okay? And likewise, it keeps you from burning body fat because you're in a storage state all day long. So we want to eat mostly meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and dense sources of carbohydrates we want to try to limit for the most part. Okay? So actually, here's a picture of my groceries, and that's kind of what it looks like. It's mostly vegetables, some meat down here, and then if you look around, you can point out healthy sources of fats. There's a bunch of nuts right there. There's avocados in here. There's a coconut milk in there. This is all grass-fed meats, which have a better fatty acid profile than kind of industrialized agricultural type fats. Okay, so how Dean and the rest of everyone got started at our place is we put everyone through a fundamentals course. Okay? What I'm going to suggest you guys do is come try 2 weeks of our fundamentals course. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can get the experience of learning how to do these workouts. So whether you're looking to join our place or whether you're looking to just work out on your own, if you can have 6 sessions to experience what it's like to do these types of workouts, you can take that information and you can go put together your own workouts. Having the experience is the important part, though. I could stand up here all day and tell you what it's supposed to look like, but until you've done it for yourself, until you've done a couple different types of workouts that follow this model, it's going to be very hard to really put it together yourself. Okay? So right now our fundamentals course is full, but in April, the first Monday of the month in April, or the first Monday of the month, every month rather, is the beginning of our fundamentals course. Okay? It's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 in the morning or 7 in the evenings, and it's right around a 60-minute workout, just like I was saying before. Okay? The difference between the fundamentals workouts and what I just showed you with the warm-up, the strength work, and the Metcon is that in fundamentals, there's a lot of variety of these movements, and you got to learn how to do good technique and whatnot. So the strength work is not a part of fundamentals. You're going to come in, you're going to warm up, we're going to teach you good technique on all these different types of movements, and then you're going to do the Metcon only. Okay, so we're teaching you how to do these short, compact, timed workouts, and we're teaching you how to do all the correct technique for pressing, pulling, and the leg exercises so you can do it without getting injured. Okay? And then finally, at the end of each class, there's a brief paleo lesson where we give you some handouts, you get recipes, and you find out how to make these types of meals. Most people kind of understand they should be eating caveman food or meat and vegetables, but if you've never made those types of meals before and you don't know where to start, then those lessons in the fundamentals course are something that can help you get started on the paleo track. Every class is coached. So we don't have the type of facility where you come in and just do your own thing. Everybody is coached 100% of the time. Okay? So Mike here is actually teaching one of the nutrition talks. He's showing you what good carbs are, good fat, excuse me. Then there's a fat column here, and I think you already did the protein column already. But he's basically just teaching people about the nutrition at the end of the class. So we're going to write all the workouts, teach you how to do all the different techniques in the workout for that day. Everyone starts the workout at the exact same time, and then you're competing against yourself, but you're competing against everyone else as well. Everybody writes down their name and their time on the board after the workout, and so you always get to see where you are, and it's fun to pass people up. It's fun to have new people come in that are below you, and you always get to see that you're making progress every single day. Okay? So everyone starts the clock at the same time, and then at the end of the workout, if you're the last one, everyone's not like, well, we're done, see ya. And they don't just leave. Once they're done, they call time, and then they turn around and they cheer for you, right? Everyone is there together. It's a community, and we all help each other out by motivating each other. Okay? Generally, we start with AMRAPs just so everyone stops at the same time, right? Time, and then everyone's happy and celebrates together. They finish the workout. But once we're kind of beyond the AMRAPs and we're starting to do rounds for time, everyone's finishing at different times. And you're going to encourage and help each other. You're not just going to be like, well, I'm done, I'm out, and I'm in it just for myself. Everyone is encouraged to stay there and cheer on the other people in the class. And then finally, there's always opportunity to ask questions, whether about working out or nutrition. Usually, the majority of the questions I get tend to be about nutrition. If you show up to the gym, it's pretty much taken care of for you. All you got to do is just make sure you drive your car there and get out and come in, and then you just kind of follow along, and it's all taken care of for you. And if there's other people there and they're working hard, you'll work hard too. It's just what people do. It rarely happens any other way. The part that's hard is when you leave the gym and now you're either on your own or you go home and you want to make dinner and you're all motivated to make like the best dinner possible, and the whole rest of your family doesn't want to have that dinner, and then that's where the struggle comes in. Okay? I'm still almost 30. I'm in my 20s still, and I don't have a family yet. I have a fiance, but I don't have any children yet. I'm sure that's a whole nother deal, trying to convince your kids what they should be and shouldn't be eating. So that's a whole nother conversation, but that's the hard part, and that's what people usually come to us with questions about is, what can I do when I'm not here to kind of spur progress and to move me forward and put me to the next level. So like I said, the first 2 weeks are free. Monday, I believe April 4th is the next day. But the first Monday in April, come try out 2 weeks for free and get the experience of doing these workouts. And then next time I'm here, you guys can have had that experience, and we can talk about kind of what to do next. Okay?
First Monday is April 1st.
April 1st?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe it was March 4th. If that's something that does interest you, I'm more than happy to talk to you about it right now, or you can always sign up at factionsc.com.